All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of For the Most Part podcast. And we're doing a panel discussion this week, and we have in-house with us, well, not in-house, but on the Zoom, the For the Most Part production team, as well as a special guest, Mr. Cory Kayce. So let me just quickly introduce everyone. To begin with, we have Timid Productions, Kyle. We have Owen James. We have Miss Louise Clarke, in-house content writer, doubling as co-host sometimes, and Mr. Lyrically inclined, additional co-host when we see fit. So my name is Kemi Ible, and we want to get right into this week's discussion. All right, so guys, I have a question for you guys here, right? What makes hip hop sound like hip hop?
I would more so say that hip hop really relies on, it doesn't rely on the beat, but it depends on your flow and everything. It depends on the flow that you go with to match the instrumental that you're rapping on, per se. Because a dancehall artist could do dancehall on a hip hop beat as well. So that's why I say it depends on your flow. To me, that's what it's about.
Testing, 1, 2.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, Toko and Kyle in the building. So I did a little research because I know what we were talking about today, right? And in the words of KRS-One, rapping is something you do. Hip-hop is something you live. Right? So hip-hop was created for the specific purpose of kind of counteracting the economic changes that was happening in the Bronx in the 70s, right? It's real funny that lyrics mention dancehall, because hip hop was founded by a Jamaican immigrant, as a DJ Kool Herc. He was a Jamaican man, went to New York. You know, we Caribbean people like to go to the States to make something happen, and he went there and he created what is probably the most popular genre in the world right now. The rapping is only one segment of what hip hop actually is. What's the man's name? Africa Bambaataa actually categorized, or made the 4 elements. He categorized the 4 elements of hip hop, and it encompasses the DJing and MCing, breakdancing, the rapping, of course, and visual art. And visual arts go from, it started as the graffiti and artwork and stuff, and it now is from the clothing to the cars and the jewelry. So sometimes people would have that negative connotation that hip hop does give this image, this grandiose lifestyle, but it was created for that purpose, to give a different outlook now. So I wouldn't just say it's the sound of the rapping, because one man flow would differ from the man next thing, and they might be in the same camp. But really capturing the essence of hip hop, you would have to cover those bases.
So it's like a culture. It's not just a genre of music. It's not a style.
Absolutely.
It's not just the style of music. It's a culture.
Absolutely.
True sense of the word. Am I right in saying that, Larry?
Yeah, you're correct. If I could jump in, it's a very holistic thing. That's why rappers have this cred, this street cred type of thing, because it's a lifestyle, more or less. If you're rapping about things you don't know or you don't live, you don't respect you as a rapper or artist or something like that. Like even J. Cole gets a lot of flack today because he's an incredible lyricist, but he doesn't really live the life that he portrays and he speaks about in his music. So, and that's just what hip hop is. It was a whole entire lifestyle, you know, the graffiti art, the dancing, just like Cory said. I'm surprised you went and did all that research, because KRS and these are things that I know, and I like to go into the history of hip hop, and I could be very long winded on this topic, so I'm going to cut myself short and
Nice.
yeah.
Oh, then it's really good that we have you today, Cory. That's awesome. It's really good to have you today.
So my second question to you all, this my lovely expert panel. Do we think that local hip hop sounds different to creations internationally?
Well, I want to be careful with the way I answer this, because there have been some artists like Cory who have done an amazing job at putting out quality production and being able to stand toe to toe with international production. However, we have this this tendency as local artists, the local hip hop artists have this tendency of trying to sound American, not just international, because they're rappers in England that song, they have their own song. Rappers in Africa, they have their own song. I've listened to Russian rap, sounds weird. It's still rhythmic, you can still bop your head to it and go with it. But our local artists try so hard to sound American sometimes. It's hurt my heart to listen to some of them, because the lyrics itself will be so good. As they say in the hip hop culture, fire lyrics, fire, absolute fire, and the accent doesn't get to me. So yeah, production wise, yes, we probably have some of the best producers in the Caribbean. But when it comes down to crafting a final product, it sometimes sounds weird to me. I don't know. OJ, what do you feel about
that? To me, it doesn't really matter how it sounds. Once the artist is delivering what they're supposed to deliver, what they're feeling, it doesn't really matter to me. If they want to sound American, they could sound American. They try to sound American if they want to.
It's a very interesting thing, because I know I sound American when I rap and in my music, but I have heard some Trinidadian rap artists that have that Trinidad accent, or well, they still incorporate the dialect into their music, and it sounds good. I think if I tried to do it, it wouldn't sound as good. I can actually call names too. I don't know if this is the forum to be calling people names and giving them that shine, but yeah. So like, I know there's a couple of artists that do, and it sounds good, and then those.
What name that man safety here?
Stephen Banfield is one who you don't hear his music anywhere, but if you go on his Instagram and you listen to the little snippets of things that he puts up, and he uses his Trinidadian accent, he uses that dialect so richly, like I just be in awe, because I know I can't. It's not the way I express myself, and then I develop my rap talent in New York, so it's a different kind of ball game for me. But him, this other guy, well, Young Rod and Mark Hardy, of course, people already know those guys for doing trap. So, and this other guy that I can't remember his name though, light skin guy. I'm going to search it up and come back to you guys in a little bit. But he does the Trinidadian accent as well, and he does it really well.
Where the sound is concerned, I do feel like there's a difference, because I noticed that like my favorite rappers are the ones who tell their stories in the most truthful and honest, no nonsense way possible. Those are my favorite rappers. Tell me a story, your story, right? And not all rappers, whether it's internationally or locally, not all rappers decide to try to tell a good story. They just try to put together lyrics that will sell, or lyrics that will, catch people because they're infectious. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I find that while there are some local rappers who are able to tell an engaging story, which is, I feel, the basis of the art form, because after all, hip hop is using words. Words are like the foundation. Words are the alpha and omega, and you use those words to tell a story. And some local hip hop artists don't attempt to tell a story; they just put words together that sound good. Again, this happens in any hip hop market. There's going to be good music, there's going to be bad music. But I notice that is a problem here. Tell us a story. Tell us your story. It doesn't necessarily have to be, even if it doesn't sound like the most interesting story in the world, still tell us a story. Because if your story is believable, we can relate to it. That's just my view on the differences in sound where local hip hop and American hip hop is concerned.
I would say the local artists are entitled, and any artist on that matter, they are entitled to use different accents, and as long as, like Louise said, as long as the message is relatable to the audience, it's what you're catering for. I mean, I guess a part of it is like Americans wouldn't understand the culture of and the slangs in which we use here locally. So it's like to fit into that market, that international market, some would try to execute the way in which Americans speak, and their terms in which they use so they can reach out there rather than have a local following. I mean, you could, because they are, like Cory said, there are artists who implement the local our patois. A great example of an artist is Jinaj. He does a good job with that. He does a good job with incorporating that. And I'm also working on that as well. But I feel like it's more so, to me, I kind of look at it as they may be paying homage in a sense and really want to reach that market rather than still limited to, a local audience.
Just to add to things, I think with Gina, she toes the line because he does have an American accent. He just puts in some Trinidadian slang in between in his lyrics, and that works out for him. It's a perfect balance, I guess. McWise is an artist that just uses straight Trinidadian slang to deliver his messages. I think, well, with what lyrics was saying as well too, with artists being entitled to express themselves in whatever manner that they feel. It's the same thing with dancehall artists in Trinidad. I think that, the fact of the matter is they want to fit into a certain demographic, so they start speaking like a certain type of person. Because some of them, I met a couple of dancehall artists here and they don't even speak like Trinidadian. They don't have our accent anymore. They speak straight Jamaican patois. And that's just the persona that they picked up, more or less, to deliver the message or the music that they want to. And I feel like it's the same thing for hip-hop artists because this is the type of music we're trying to do, and predominantly the accent that is known for this type of music is American accent. So I think that it should be allowed. I think that I'm not too sure why it is so stigmatized or looked down upon, but that is what we're dealing with at the moment. So
I believe, bro, it's execution. And also I was about to say, just as you draw reference to dancehall artists using the Jamaican patois, there's the same thing. It's just execution, and also how Trinidad is such a small island, and they would want to gain that recognition from where it is the genre stems from. So I guess that's why you would incorporate their lingo and all that. So it will draw more attention, to the rap scene here.
All right. On that front, so we talking about the different accents and the essentially how dance hall and hip hop and how that's affecting people. Let's talk about it making an impact. Do we feel like it's making a serious dent in local music? And I mean, we could forget about like the Trinidad and all of them. Let's really look at, we have our 2 resident rappers in house with us. You know, do we feel that it's making an impact?
It's making an impact. Everything makes an impact. Nothing is done in a vacuum. I mean, so it is making an impact. I don't think that it's making the kind of impact that we would like it to be making. You know, it's still very small, and yeah, that's my thinking. It's still very small. It's still budding. It's still trying to grow.
Yeah, he's very right. The rap scene is still yet to come up to that level and that acknowledgement of other genres. So I would agree with you. Everything does make an impact, but to that magnitude, I don't believe so. It's still on our rise.
Kemi, come go back and forth with me a little bit here.
All right, talk to the eye.
So we're talking about making an impact, right? Like making a dent on the local music scene.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it. I've seen the influence of hip hop locally, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for a good example, I think Lyrics had talked about it. You would notice that every year, KFC or one of those companies would have an ad out, right? And it's somebody that nobody knows that rapping. Cory is a phenomenal rapper. Lyrics is lyrically inclined. My boy Gideon flows heavy, right? Brave Boy and those other guys, they do their thing. But yet these absolutely unknown artists would be the ones who get these, and like if we with my limited knowledge of advertising budgets and that sort of stuff, like, these will be the well-paying gigs when it comes to hip hop payouts now. And I really like looking at the question of impact, because they had to be doing something locally for companies like Prestige Holdings and they to actually invest large sums of money into using that genre of music to promote their products. But really and truly, some of those ads will be so, I would say, lame. I have better Trini words I could use to describe how tired it is.
Sorry, Kyle. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Now, Lou, I'll give me some feedback. Give me some kickback, because I doubt it's me alone thinking that.
So here's the thing, right? Okay. As an artist, I know very well that local companies, when they want to use some sort of art in their advertising, they don't know who to ask, they don't know who to go to. Sometimes it's not that they are choosing, and as you said, some of these raps can be lame. It's not that that's what they chose. They probably just didn't know what was out there. You know, they may not know who to approach. And let's face it, corporate Trinidad generally does not pay attention to popular music unless it's insanely popular, like you're already on the radio kind of thing. So where companies are concerned, I think it's simply a matter of they don't know because they don't do the necessary research. Of course, this doesn't apply to every company, but I'm saying that generally speaking, maybe there's a lack of research, a lack of really reaching out, for example, which is why we get the ads that we do. Take, for example, you all know this website, PinTT?
Yeah.
Right, you all have heard the ad for it, right?
No.
Okay. probably that's a good thing. I wouldn't say it's the I wouldn't say it's the best ad. And it feels more like the lyrics were written in a way to just catch the audience's attention versus actually giving us a quality verse about why you should use Pin TT to sell your stuff. Pin TT is like, yeah, you just sell stuff on it. Yeah. So I think that's the major problem. And another major problem is, let's face it, we are still in a space where we glorify particular genres of music in this country. Not glorify, let me say focus on. That impact, it needs to, before we can make that impact, I think, for any genre of music that isn't what we would, consume the most as Trinidadians, I think we simply need to raise awareness that this exists. Rappers like this exist. Rappers who rap with Trinidadian accents exist. But we don't know that these artists exist. And that's part of the problem, I think.
That is true. Tyler, Owen, I see that you guys are muted your mics, so I know you guys have something to say, just hold it in mind. So I think it was either last year or 2018. What's his name? This light-skinned guy that used to do the Carnival wrap up. He had the ad for
Chromatics.
Chromatics, right? He had the ad for KFC. Chenko got the ad for McDonald's actually last year to do, but Chenko did soca. But Chenko is a hip hop artist, well, primarily, but now he's doing soca. There's a Moccasin ad that runs right now, and that is actually Sicker Flow. I was actually driving to the Bamboos with two of my brothers, and I was like, yo, I hear this ad, but I wonder who's this artist. And I was like, yo, that's Sicker Flow. He from Sugar on Us. Like, they didn't even know that he was a local artist. So it's not that so more or less, I can see that what she's saying is correct, that they don't have the information, they don't know who the rappers are. Because I know for Sicker Flow, the reason why he got that is because he's connected to people that knows these individuals. I was looking for somebody to do the ad for them. Same thing with Chenko and them is a bunch of go-getters, and they have a lot of deals going on all over the place. For somebody like McDonald's to give you an ad to do for them, that is something huge. It's just that we don't really pay attention to these things now, boy. I think that I heard an ad for, what was it? It's not Doja, some paint company, and that was Jimmy October. Jimmy October isn't even doing rap anymore, but like, it's happening though. It's just that the people that it's happening to is people that are already huge and established already, because like she said, they don't have the information and they're not doing the research. But yeah, that was just my 2 cents on that matter.
I just want to jump in here, and I think that kind of just proves one of my first points at the point of starting this podcast, which was really entirely about letting people kind of see that it's a combination of, well, they don't know who to go to, one, and then two, the question is, as Louise said, there's an essence of glorification of particular genres of music that I feel, and I'm going to say it bluntly, as I always tell people every season, bluntly and plainly, we don't need to be glorifying those other genres because it have some good stuff that's being created. Now, I did have a question that I wanted us to move into, but I know that Owen and I think Kyle may have had a point that they wanted to add just to this question, and then we could move forward.
I feel as though the artists on the rap scene locally, if it had more of a unity, I would actually be more serious within our craft. I believe it could be something that the public could acknowledge, like on that level. But just as you said, it's a glorification of genres that already, up there. It's like nobody really paying attention. And I guess it's because of, maybe the consistency of us local rap artists. That could be like one of the problems. But I believe we have the potential to reach there. It's just all in seriousness on how much the public would embrace the genre that we are in. That's just my one piece.
I think the public.
Another question is too.
Sorry, didn't mean to cut
Like
you.
sometimes why people doing it? Like why? What's the purpose of Trinidadian rappers rapping? Like, are you doing it for a career, or you just doing it like, yeah, I just want to be a face or something doing this thing?
For me, I would say is a love. I grew up in a Seventh-day Adventist home, so most of my life was gospel. And when my mom moved to England, and I was at a low point because my mom was everything for me personally. The music that my brother brought to me and started playing for me was some Eminem records and stuff. So that is the type of music I fell in love with. But before that, I used to write poetry. I used to write stories. I was always a writer, right? So it's not that hip hop is for a fame or anything like that. For me, this is just the way I know to express myself, because I used to express myself through poetry, and then I started to hear Eminem and the way he would rhyme his words, and it flows like a poem. You know what I mean? How he does his rhyme schemes and stuff, and I just fell in love with that type of art style and how that used to move me, because for me the gospel never used to work. You know, gospel music is gospel music. It's something I was hearing for years. First time I ever heard hip hop was just something new. You know, it was a new experience. I remember crying to certain tracks on Eminem's album, the LP or something like that. I still cry to certain tracks right now. Like J. Cole has a couple of songs that I would hear and I would instantly start to tear up. So it's not anything about hype or fame or anything like that for me. More or less is our love. This is the way I like to express myself. And honestly, it's the only thing I want to do with my life. It's just that climate we live in doesn't allow for certain things. But yeah.
I mean, yeah. Now, on the point of the of making a dent, right? Because as Cory just closed up, he said the climate do allow for certain things. I think one of the biggest errors that local minority genres make is assuming, and there's all feelings, no facts. I could be completely wrong, but I feel like, and I say minority genres because there's not a isolated instance for hip hop only. OJ, you do classical music. The only time I really want to hear you is for Christmas, right? And it's not me alone. You understand? Is the actual fraternities of these genres doing the due diligence for their work to be recognized. A lot of fellas and ladies believe that the talent that they have and whatever they produce is so good already that people should just like it. But if you listen to some of these songs that popular, they song like other songs that popular too. And they sound really good. So sounding good is not the standard. It's something else that local hip-hop artists missing. Because you say Sika Flow Cory. I don't know who that is. I only know Chenko. Yeah?
Very well connected.
And that's amazing. And that's
Sika Flow is an OG. Yeah.
Chenko bad too. Chenko real bad. Chenko.
Right. Now, and this is the point I'm making though. The fact that Sika Flow is an older guy and he's well connected means that he put himself out there, networked in a manner, and brought like people of importance to him.
Actually,
so
this story is a very tragic story in Trinidad and Tobago hip hop. Honest. And it's a story that I can here, but definitely not on this podcast. It's not something that I should be. That's the guy's business. Right. I should be talking about it like that. But
right.
Sika Flow has made contributions to the hip hop community, but he hasn't made that much contribution. But if I have to say that somebody is talented, and to actually make it out there, it would be Sicker Flow. I have other names I could call as well, but Sicker Flow is one of those that we consider, because he's been here, he's been doing it, but they've done him dirty.
Now imagine that. Because Cory, I know you. I met you through Tevin, right? That was for the first Sky Nation live performances that we did up in Grandy Day. That's how I met you. That's how I met Gideon, through Tevin. Tevin ain't no hip-hop man. Tevin is a music man. Whatever come to him, and he go with it. The only reason I know Chenko, how I meet Chenko? Oh, I put out a song. I'm no singer, but I put out a song and I decided to enter Slam Carnival competition. I can't remember the name of the thing. And Chenko was part of the competition. And we just bonded one afternoon, exchanged numbers. And Chenko and I worked on like 3-4 projects already. And I, just as you say, Chenko is a man, he's a go-getter. He don't sit down and wait for it to come to him. He goes to it. You understand? So it's obvious that the work that these guys putting them in positions to get the gigs that they get in. Let me say, a man like Sicker Flow put in real work for hip-hop to be somewhat recognized in the country. What the new fellas actually doing to build on what people like Sicker Flow and Chenko and they put down for them to stand on. Let me say the whole foundation wasn't set, it wasn't the best of foundations, but nobody go and come and build on it and improve it. Because I don't know these guys.
Actually, what I would say is it depends on how well you use your resources and networking plus marketing. It's all about the connects that you build as well, and how you yourself as an artist you carry about, along with consistency, as I mentioned. And that way the attention will be, and as long as you up to times with what is going on within the current rap scene, and you could adapt to that as well within your own style, bro, you could gain that attention, you know. It's a lot of hard and smart work.
Right. About community, which is why, you know, certain things that me and the collective does is about fostering that community of hip-hop artists in Trinidad and Tobago, because at the end of the day, it's hard to ignore it's hard to ignore a stack of things that's packed up in a corner now, bro. You can look at it for so long until you have to actually go and interact with it. But if it's just one speck in the corner, which is what's really happening with hip-hop right now, is just a bunch of different sects in Trinidad, a bunch of different fraternities and different groups here and there dotted around. But if we foster a community where all of us are together, there's no way to deny that matter. Because everybody else has that community where you know that this artist is connected to this guy in some other way, and they always have something going on, even if it's just a beef between people or whatever the case would be. Like, we don't even have that right now in hip-hop in Trinidad, and hip-hop is kind of based off of that kind of thing where if you disagree, you go back for it. Now, right?
Okay, just my 2 cents just to wrap up this segment. I agree. I think that the hip hop and music on the whole is a multifaceted community thing with a bunch of layers and a bunch of people all trying to do all different things, and there's no point nor any direction. So it's basically like the diametrically opposed to itself in a way. It's trying to expand and grow, but it's not expanding and growing anyway. It's going in all sorts of oblong shapes, sizes, and you know, and in some ways the business itself and the industry is feeling the brunt of that. So what I would like to do is I want to ask L.L.I and Cory. So between yourselves, I want to ask Cory to respond first. So do you both feel as though you've made like substantial earnings from being a rapper in Trinidad and Tobago?
I wouldn't say I made a substantial. If I had to calculate, I would probably come out at a deficit in how much I put in as opposed how much I came out with. So, and I think we had that discussion when I was on my podcast. I think I said it was probably 75 to 80% I'm getting back. Yeah, so I haven't made a substantial, I wouldn't say substantial. I I think that my mindset as well in the earlys when I just started, because I started started to do my music in, I think 2014 was when I decided, 2016 is when I started to become serious. But it was only until probably like 2018, 2019 when I was like, I should probably try to monetize this. So because my mindset for me, like I said, it was for the love. I wanted to do this because this is the way I express myself. So it was never really about the money, but I was expending money. And, so having conversations with my dad and things like that, I decided that, like I didn't want to feel like I'm prostituting myself with my work because, working to get money, that kind of thing. So that's how I used to look at it. And it's only recently in my, like I said, 2018, that's very recent, that's for 3 years. So I recently had a change of mind. I was like, if this is what I love, then I should allow it to pay me and, try to fill a gap in my life or something. And that is why it is the way it is now. But before, I never used to look at it as a business or something to gain money from, because it was just, this is my art and my craft, and this is something I want to put out into the world. So yeah, so not substantial, but getting there, working on it.
I would say the same for myself. Getting there is in the works right now, but in terms of like winnings, likewise what Cory said, from what is I put out, to get them back from myself, nah. But from doing my own personal work, I gain a lot of respect, I would say. But rap is my passion, and what it is I'm doing, I'm very passionate about it. I'm also more educated myself of late on the business side of things. So with respects to monetization and all that, that's what I'm currently working on. So rather than this just being for the love of, it would also be a combination of my passion and it's also a full career. It's like I'm gaining an income from this, So right now I'm just working up towards monetization and continuous growth. But substantially earning, I would say I haven't as yet.
I think I had a question in here. What was one thing you all felt that rappers doing right or wrong locally? But I think I want to skip that and go straight to how much of a role do you all think that social media plays in the reception of music? I just asked. The panel will come back in for the next couple of segments.
I think the panel could take part in this question because for us it's just us on the inside looking out, and for you guys is on the outside looking in. So you guys would actually know exactly, because when I post my music, I feel like I'm being annoying. Honestly, I don't like social media. I don't like being online. I don't like people texting me or calling me. So it doesn't work out for me now. I'm not really too sure how to work it out. Like I struggle to market my music. I think we had that conversation as well. I'm doing my best. I'm working on it. It's a different. I have to have a mindset change. But I definitely think that everybody else could weigh in on this question, because for you all, what does it look like when an artist is promoting and pushing their music towards you? Because I know when somebody pop in my inbox and drop me a link and was like, share this, and I'm like you don't reciprocate. Why are you even here? I mean, that is how I just feel sometimes. That's it. The people that will send me this stuff and I'll be like, yeah, for sure. And other people I'll just be very tired.
It plays a major role, I would say. Social media, you can reach, the social media platforms host billions of people. Billions of people use the different platforms given to us, and is helping us spread awareness of what it is we do. You can run ads with different people, hashtags and all that, It's like, it's a big help. I would say it's a very huge help, honestly, with getting your stuff out there and all of that. Because everybody uses social media. Everybody's on their phone, everybody's on Instagram, everybody's on Facebook, So sharing a link and all these things are all part of building us. So I would say it's very, very helpful.
To add to that, I think for me the only thing that I found that works is TikTok, because I create a video I put it out there. I'm not pushing it to anybody. Whoever sees it, sees it. I feel like that's the most comfortable for me. So social media does play an important role because honestly, without social media, I wouldn't be able to reach the people I reach because trying to push my music in Trinidad. I don't know, my mindset is just never to push my music to Trinidad because most of these times I've been in parties where I played music for people and like they like the music but then they don't like Trinidadian rappers. So it's just weird for me personally. And this is coming from somebody who used to stand up by UE entrance and rap for students walking into school. So like I've had my time trying to push my music towards the Trinidadian and Tobagoan population. But TikTok is the most organic for me because if somebody likes your stuff, it's because they like it. It's not because you pushed it towards them. And I feel like a lot of that happens as well too. Where you push a link to somebody, they click on it, they click the like button, they leave a comment, and then you go listen to 15 seconds of your song. So yeah.
So, there's me. Trinidadians don't like to receive Trinidadians well. We look down upon ourselves, and I don't really know why. He said he would try to promote social media. Now, again, what I said that people like ourselves, so whatever we, because I'm a creative as well, we put out, if they don't like it, which they won't like it or share it. Because I would assume that we are unknown.
All right. A point that Lyrics just made is that social media services billions of people. Now, that might sound like a lot, but then you take that billion and then you dissect it into languages. How many of those billion people speak English? Let me say 50% of those billions of people speak English, right? How many of those billions actually interested in less than mainstream hip-hop? That is another reduction. All right. Now, how much of them are actual fans of hip-hop and how much of them are just casual? They hear a nice song, they might play it once or twice on YouTube after they get home, and then it goes poof. Social media could only really and truly do so much for you as an artist, regardless of the genre of music. Hip-hop is not exclusive to this fact. You have to be able to connect to the people that connect with you at the end of the day. Regardless, if your story connects with them, your story would need to be consistent so that they would feel to come back and connect with you. And then you have to be able to feed them that energy regularly, consistently.
That was part 1 of our panel discussion. Stay tuned for part 2, which will be aired next Friday. We will see you and we will hear you on the next one. Peace out, guys.